Hey everybody, Mike Colbert here. It's a cold, wet, rainy day in Louisiana, so it's a perfect day to stay inside and make some coin rings. Today I'll be making a two-sided 50-cent piece into a ring. Ever since I started making these coin rings, I've had people ask me, how in the world do you take a flat, round coin and turn it into a ring like this? And so I decided today I'm just going to videotape the process and kind of go from start to finish and explain some of the techniques and show you some of the tools that I use. And hopefully it'll answer a lot of questions. Before I get started though, I want to talk about the coins and the material that they're made out of. Keep in mind that any coins, well, any dimes, quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars that were manufactured in the United States 1964 and earlier are made of silver. Silver is a little bit more difficult to work with than your clad coins, which is what they're made of today. The silver tends to split, tear, and crack much easier, and when you're putting some fire to it, it can reach its melting point in a hurry and just disintegrate before your eyes. And it's pretty heartbreaking to take a coin that's worth several dollars to, sometimes $30, $40, $50, and then turn it into a pile of junk silver simply because you were rushing the process or didn't take your time. So today the coin that I'm using is not made of silver. It's a 1977 half dollar. Half dollars, on the other hand, that were manufactured 65 to 70 were still 40% silver. So you still have some silver content in those. But your dimes, quarters that were minted 65 and later are just clad. Clad meaning they are a variety of metals combined into one product. The quarters that were minted nowadays are a copper core sandwiched with a nickel copper silver colored alloy. And in fact, if you just go to your your change bucket or whatever else and grab a handful of quarters and you turn them on their side like these right here, you can kind of see the copper color in the middle of them. Well, that's because it's a copper core. Now I'm going to take this is a 1963, and I'm going to stick in there with them. See the difference? You can pick that silver quarter out pretty easy because it's pure white. There's no copper in that at all. That's just a 1963. And so this is a silver quarter. So that being said, today, if you're going to start using silver for your coins, I'll maybe make another video and explain some of the particulars and some of the special techniques you have to use while you're using silver coins. But today we're just working with clad, so I'm fixing to get started. Step one, you have to punch a hole in the middle of your coin. And there's a variety of ways of doing that. Some people use a drill press. Some people actually use a hand press. Some people drill a small hole and then they take a round needle file like this and then they start just filing out the inside. One of the more common ways that people use is what I used to use is a set like this. This is actually a punch and die set. This is your die and this is your actual punch. And what you have to do is take your coin, whatever you're going to be using, and then you have to, with either digital calipers like this one, is find the dead center of the coin. Now, finding the dead center and punching your hole right in the middle is going to be key to making a good ring. And that can be kind of difficult to do. You can think you're almost centered, you can eyeball as best you can, but once you start putting the measurements to it and once you start making the ring and folding it over, you realize if it's not centered, then you kind of get a ring that's lopsided. Then you have to get a file like this and start doing a bunch of filing and working, and really you end up with not as nice a product and spending a lot of time on it. But how you would use this right here is once you find the center of your coin, and I'm not going to go into all the ways of how you find the center, because I don't need to do it anymore, and I'll explain in a minute why. But you slide that into the die here, and then you take your punch and set it on top, and then when you're ready, you smack it with a big hammer, and you punch out a plug. Well, what I've done is I've had a friend of mine actually manufacture me some tools so I don't have to worry about it anymore. I have 3 sets here. I have a size for your quarter, which it sandwiches a quarter in there just like that. I have one for a $50, one for a silver dollar. This is actually a 1921 Morgan silver dollar. That's worth about $35. You want to be careful, start punching holes and stuff like that. But anyway, it sits in there and sandwiches in there just nice. Now, once I have that in here, you take your base, and once that's sandwiched in there like that, I take my punch, and again, when I'm ready, I smack it with a big hammer. And it punches a plug right out of the middle. Now, because this is a machined tool, I don't have to worry about whether it's centered or not, because it's going to be centered every time. Now, I don't like to hit these things with a hammer on anything less than a solid surface. You find you an anvil, or take it outside if you have a driveway or something with some good solid concrete, because anything like wood or a table that absorbs energy, you may have to hit it several times, and I like to hit it one good shot and punch the center of it out. So that's what I'm about to do. I'm fixing to take this $50 that I'm fixing to make into a ring. I'm going to put it in my setup right here. And I'm going to take this outside where I have an anvil, and I'm going to punch a hole in it, and I'll be right back. So, all right, I'm back. Thing scared me. All right, so I've punched my, that's the center piece right here that I just knocked out. You see the little eagle on it. That's what's left of him. There you have it. Center punched out of my quarter, out of my $50. So that's step 1, getting the center punched out of it. Now step 2 is where we actually start to roll the coin. Now, this is a tool that you have to have. This is a hardened steel. It's called a jeweler's mandrel. And what I'll do is I'll put some fire to this, heat it up, place that on the mandrel. Once that's on the mandrel, I take a nylon hammer, and then we're going to start just tapping, tap, 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 working this thing down. Now, there is a shortcut that I've learned, and it's with this tool right here. It's called a doming block. It's a hardened steel block that has a variety of domes, bowls cut out of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up till it's red hot. I'm going to quench it really quickly, and then I'm going to place that inside of this doming block. And then I'm going to put it on an arbor press, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. So let's put some fire to this. Now at this point, a lot of people would say, man, you just roasted that coin and ruined it. But this will all polish off. So here we go to the next step. This is what they call a anneal. This is perfectly annealed. This has softened it up so it's ready to work now. Okay, this is the way you use this doming block and the arbor press. This is a 1-ton arbor press. And what you do is you take your coin that you've annealed, and you place it inside the doming block. Make sure it's flat and level. And then I take a hardened steel ball bearing, place it on there just like that. And again, make sure your coin is flat, and whatever side you want on the outside of the ring, make sure it's face down. So I've got the date side down. Now I'm going to bring the press down here. Okay. And again, it's important that you make sure that this is straight and level. Okay. Try to stay out of the light here. Alright, let's put some pressure to this. Nice and smooth. And that's it. We have started the process of folding that coin over. Now I'm going to place this on my mandrel and start working it into a ring. Alright, at this point what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to start working this. Now that I have it softened, I put on the mandrel and I just start tapping. And what I'm doing, and I'm using a teardrop nylon hammer. And what that does, that keeps from marring up and messing up the detail of the coin. You just keep working it around. Not a rush. Just tap, 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 tap. Just keep working that around. You see how that's starting to fold over now? At some point I can kind of turn over this way and I can start working it. And just working it. Now this takes a while, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the video off now until I get it rolled all the way over. But you can kind of see how it's starting to go from being flat to kind of a cone shape. And I'll be back. Alright, I'm taking a little break here to show you something. As you start to roll this coin and it starts to take on this shape, the inside, or what used to be the inside, you're now stretching this out. And you're taking this out, what was the outside, and you're kind of folding it in. Now right here is where this thing is going to start splitting and tearing on you. Now like I said, it's more prevalent in silver than it is this clad material. But just to make sure that everything stays smooth, what I'll do is I'll take something like this, like a sanding block. And then I'll just very lightly and what I'm doing is I'm taking down any rough edges on the outside of this coin. And make sure I've got smooth metal all the way around the end of it. And just constantly as I'm rolling this over and putting it under stress, I'll just check it. Now I may put this to some more fire again, re-anneal it, heat it back up till it's red hot, kind of soften it up, and go back to working on it. But just keep an eye on it and make sure it's not tearing or cracking. And then put it back on the mandrel. Get back to hammering it. Be right back. All right, as you can see here, it's starting to take on the shape of a ring. Now this is actually going to be like a 14, size 14. That's what the guy needs. And I have another little plastic mandrel right here that tells me the sizes. So as we stick it on there, we see that right now I'm at about 10 3/4, almost an 11. So I've got to come all the way down to a 14. I think that's what I just said, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I've got to come all the way down to 14. So I'm going to have to really work this thing down, the mandrel, and get it all the way almost to the end. And I'll show you how I do that. Again, I'm going to re-needle this. I'm going to put it back under some fire till it softens up. And then I'm going to show you how I stretch this out and make it a bigger size. So, let's get some fire on it. Alright, now I need to work this down a few more sizes, and it also stretch this side out. So what you do is this right here. This is regular old Schedule 40 PVC pipe. I'm going to place it on this right here, and then I'm going to take my big hammer and start and that's going to start forcing it down. You can see already I'm down to like a 12. Down to a 13 now. And so I'm just going to keep working this down until I get it down to where I need to about a 14. Okay? So when I get to a 14, I'll come back. Alright, I've worked this down, and according to the sizer on this, it's about a 14. So this mandrel right here is actually more accurate, so I'll see what the size is on here. But I need to get this thing off of this mandrel, and it's stretched out on there pretty tight. So just take your nylon hammer, there you have it. See, now we're looking more like a ring. 14, that's big. Let's see what we got. $13.5. Yep, 13. 13.5. So you know what that means? Back on the mandrel. Start working some more on it. Be right back. Well, I think I've got it. Here we are. Right at a size 14. Here we have a ring made from a $50. So now I'm going to polish this thing up, and the way I do that, I just use a regular old standard polish. This right here, same stuff that people use for like car wheels and other jewelry. And I take a high-speed. This is a regular old rotary tool, or like kind of like a Black & Decker, or a what they call a Dremel tool. Just take a high-speed rotary tool with a polishing tip on the end of it with some of this regular old polish, and we'll see how this looks when I'm done. Alright, so between making the ring and making the video, I've been at it all day now, but I'm done. This is the final product. I don't know how well you can see it on here. This is a two-sided $50 coin ring made from a 1977 Kennedy $50. This is just clad. This is no silver content in this ring at all, but it really turned out nice. And I'm going to probably be starting in the next few days making a coin ring out of this coin right here. This is a Benjamin, 1961 Benjamin $50. And now this is silver. So like I said earlier in the beginning of the video, there's some things you have to know about dealing with silver, and some tricks and some special care and techniques that you have to use when working with silver. But I might make another video with that. But anyway, the final product, I'll take a few still shots and post them with this video. And but that's it from $50 to ring. And appreciate your time. And just message me if you got any questions. Have a good day.